Okay, Christina here to listen to some music, and today's music selection is Brown-Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. This is the second reaction to Van Morrison on the channel so far. The first one was to Moondance. Moondance was the first place winner in the poll for Van Morrison songs, and Brown-Eyed Girl was the second place winner. And if you want to take part in those polls, you can find them over on Patreon or on YouTube for channel members. And you can look for polls to be posted each week on Mondays. But as for Van Morrison here, this is an artist that I'm still getting to know. Moondance came out in 1970. This came out 3 years earlier in 1967. So I'm very interested to find out if there's a difference in sound. Moondance was really cool, really jazzy. So that's sort of how this artist has been living in my mind, is just through that one style from that one song, but I really have no idea what else to expect here. And I am still considering doing the entire Moondance album, even though I've just done the one song. I would just work it back in as I go through track by track. So I don't do the whole album in one sitting. I just go track by track. Some of those tracks are posted publicly, but the rest can be found also on Patreon and available for channel members on YouTube. Right now we're finishing up Genesis Selling England by the Pound. And right now the poll for the next full album actually is leaning towards Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues. That announcement might already be up by the time you see this video. Okay, and of course, why else are we here? I am a professional, classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and professor, so we dive into all of these different little details in the music, the composition, the instrumentation, music theory and form analysis, maybe some instrument demos, and of course, how do we relate to this music? Why do we like it? Or why maybe do we not like it? So enough delay. Let's listen. Okay, here we go.
Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game. Laughing and a running, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping, and you, my brown-eyed girl.
Okay. I recognize this. I'm not sure where I've heard it. It's just kind of been around, I guess, like, movies, TV. I definitely recognize that opening riff. I would have never placed this song together with Moondance, though. Never. I hear the similarity now in his voice. But stylistically, no way. No way. This is... So I guess this is answering my question that he does dabble in many different styles. So there's still sort of a groovy beat here. I can see how they might be distant relatives, but still in the same family tree. But it's very different. It's very 60s. In fact, the familiarity that I have in my brain somewhere, I do sort of associate it with movies or TV shows from the 60s, like taking place in the 60s for the plotline. Interesting. Very different from the jazzy sassiness from Moondance. Okay, but is the romance there? Possibly. All right, let's keep going. We just heard the namesake, the title of the song, but let's keep going.
You, my brown-eyed girl. And whatever happened to Tuesday and so slow, gone down the old man with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you, a brown-eyed girl. Girl, do you remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, just like that? Sha la 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 dee da.
Okay. I like the la 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 part. That was really cute. I think I have heard that as well. I'm not sure if I was connecting it with the opening riff to the sha la 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 part though, but they definitely make sense now. Okay, this is really fun. I love it. I love it, y'all. When here on the channel, I really do get to either fill in a puzzle piece that's been missing, like a missing link in a chain here with my sort of the general knowledge of music that a person experiences just through pop culture throughout their life. Because I did watch some movies and TV shows, especially like late 80s, early 90s. And so I'm going to experience some of these things, but they're all kind of just like floating here. And it's so fun to be able to sort of grab one of those and bring it down and like solidify it and put it in place. And with my classical music training, a lot of that is focused on learning music history. And like for the last 1,000 years or more. And so it really just sort of satisfies a little itch in my mind. It scratches that little itch to be able to sort of put things in place and see how music has evolved. And so this little snapshot is really interesting. Just going from 67 to 70, it does seem like there is a shift in decade styles here. But again, these are the only two samples from this artist's work that I have. So he could have tapped outside of those boundaries even more just with this album. I don't know what the rest of Moondance sounds like yet. So, we're learning. We'll get there. I always say that. We'll get there. But if you know any information that might help me along the way here, please do put it in the comments because it does help me learn. My classically trained brain, though, it just really enjoys putting things in chronological order. And not everything needs to have a genre, a classification. There's still flexibility within all of that. But time-wise and sort of evolutionary, just with art in general, it's kind of fun for me. And one thing I am hearing, though, is his style of singing. There's something familiar about it to some of the rock music, pop music that I know, again, like from late 80s, early 90s. That's when I was sort of in that scene before I switched over to my classical career. In fact, there's a song from, I think it's the early 90s, maybe mid 90s, that has that sha la 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 thing in it, or was that a cover? And even the vocalist is kind of the same. Who is that? Like Hootie? No, it's not. Okay, well, it's around that time. If you all are catching on to this that I'm thinking of, let me know. Okay, we'll figure it out. But it's neat to see how his voice could possibly have been a good influence for future artists. Okay, perhaps we're headed into an interlude? I'm not sure. Let's back it up a little bit. I want to kind of get into this and then maybe hear it on out. Here we go.
You, my brown-eyed girl, do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 da, just like that. Sha la 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 da, la dee da. So hard to find my way now that I'm all on my own. I saw you just the other day. My, you have grown. Cast my memory back there, Lord. Sometimes I'm overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you. my brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing? Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, in the creek river.
Okay. Well, that was a short little song, but it was really enjoyable. There's sort of a happy-go-lucky atmosphere to it, and it just sort of makes you feel good. It makes you want to smile. It makes you want to go out and enjoy the sunshine. I don't know, there's something very happy about it. The form of it is pretty straightforward. The band setup is pretty straightforward. So the fact that it sort of grabs your attention and reels you in, even though it's kind of in this simple setup, really says a lot to the music itself. So it's obviously very catchy. That opening riff is really great. And the chorus is obviously pretty easy to sing along with, the sha-la-la-la. So actually, let's go check the rest of the words, though. I tried my best to catch on to the words. You all know that I catch the music first and the lyrics sort of come to me second, but sometimes the aesthetic from just the music itself is kind of fun to see how it communicates all on its own without the words sometimes, just to see how does the music stand on its own. But anyway, let's bring in the words. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came, down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping a jumping in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping and you. Okay, so I think this is about romance once again, and it is happy, I guess. It's remembering happy memories, laughing and a running, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog. I don't know if that's metaphorical or literal. I know Van Morrison is from Ireland, so they have lots of foggy, misty mornings, literally. My brown-eyed girl and you, my brown-eyed girl, and whatever happened to Tuesday and so slow. Going down the old mine with the transistor radio, standing in the sunlight, laughing. I did not hear the word sunlight. I was picking that up just through the music alone, like enjoying being in the sunlight somehow. Interesting how that works, huh? Hiding behind a rainbow's wall. Okay, well that has to be. There are lots of rainbows in Ireland also. So, okay. Slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing? Sha-la-la-la-la-di-da, just like that. So hard to find my way now that I'm all on my own. I saw you just the other day, my how you have grown. Cast my memory back there. Lord, sometimes I'm overcome thinking about it. Making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing? Aha, okay. So yeah, sort of bittersweet romance here. A relationship that once was, obviously they are no longer together, but he is remembering the good times, I guess. And perhaps a youthful relationship, talking about the stadium, behind the stadium, so like high school kids or college kids. That's very sweet, the whole idea. It does start out kind of solemnly, though, just in the words, like, hey, where did we go? So I think I would have heard this and thought, oh, it's a happier song. And, you know, some of the lyrics that eventually my ear would have heard would have sort of supported that. And I think it's neat how this song can sort of exist in that manner, in that happy tone. But, you know, in order to look back on a memory of a situation like this, like an old relationship, there's not just going to be all good. There's going to be some bad that's in there with it because nothing is perfect. You don't have to be perfect, right? So if you take the good with the bad, but you can still come out with a happy sounding tune, go for it. Why not? I love that. But yeah, it would have taken me a while to catch on to the idea that it wasn't just completely a happy song. But if you want it to be, you can still have it be that way, right? If you need just a nice, happy song to listen to, then here you go. But I do like that added depth there with the lyrics. Okay, so now let's take a look at the music. Since we have just given the lyrics a look over, let's go back to the beginning. Let's hear that opening riff. It's very good. Interesting. So first of all, I love how the bass brings it in. And then the only percussion we have is just the tambourine. So far. And that guitar riff is really, really simple. But I think that reflects the point of the song, where you just are thinking of those simple, lovely little memories, those little moments that make you happy. That reflection with not too much regret, just smile. But what is the little sound over the top of the guitar? Is it a keyboard of some kind? Or is it a reverb on the actual guitar? Or maybe a distant percussion instrument? Let's back it up again and hear it. And also paying attention to that really, it's a cute little pickup with the bass. It sort of picks up sort of mid-sentence. It's not just a pickup note where you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's hear it again. Yeah, so it's more chromatic. So I think it's in the key of G, yes. And so normally it would be 1, 2, 3, like that. But instead it goes more chromatically. And it's also kind of already in sort of like a swung rhythm pattern. So instead of da da da, it's ba da da. Like that. So to me, like I said, it almost seems like it's starting halfway. Like this person is already thinking about this memory. And so then this little pickup, like their heart is deciding to sing about it. And the music, they can't hold it back anymore. And so the music has to pick up, but they're already in the middle of thinking about it, instead of going from complete silence to just telling the story. And then that bass line continues to be more chromatic like that. Chromatic just means where you kind of play all the different notes all together, rather than a straight scale. It's all the notes in between. Like that. And those are the little details right there that can make a seemingly simple song like this, with a typical setup with instrumentation and the form, verse, chorus. It's within that pop song range of about 3 minutes. That's what can give it some extra personality and character. I do really believe that Van Morrison is really good at adding those little gestures, although I'm not sure how much he's involved in the instrumental writing of that. I hear what he's doing with his vocals, but I'm not sure how much he had to do with what the instruments are doing, because sometimes when you hire in studio musicians like that, they sort of bring their own flavor to the mix, and you just kind of work with what they have to offer you. I'm not sure about what his process is. And either way is fine. It's just, we're learning here. So again, if you know, let me know. But I do like some of these little interjections that he had here. So for instance, at the beginning, there's the tambourine every few beats. And later on, I noticed there were hand claps. And the organ sounds are really distant. So there's sort of a distance here, which I guess makes sense for it to be associated with memories. But I still don't know what the little twinkly sound was there at the beginning over the top of the guitar riff. That could maybe have been a keyboard. But then the other thing that I keep going back to here in my mind with this is influences. So at 1967, He obviously would have really been heavily influenced by other music of the 60s. But it's obvious that he does like jazz and improv sort of sounds. And his voice sort of has a smoothness to it. But then I'm still kind of getting used to his vocal gestures that he uses. Like towards the end, there were, it wasn't quite scat. I don't know. His entire delivery, like with his lyrics, it's a little bit less articulated. So like sha la 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 la. It's not, all of his words kind of slip and slide all over the place. But maybe that makes it sound more relaxed. Like he is just sitting around, just telling a story. Lots of the words, instead of running, it's running. And I think that kind of allows us to connect with it even more. It makes it more personable. But to my classical ear, my classically trained ear, especially as a vocalist, the lyrics kind of sound sloppy. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think if he were to pronounce every single word in this, it would be very weird. So the style fits. But it still does remind me of someone from the 90s. Let's go to a spot where that really stood out in my mind a little bit. I think around here, I was like, what does that sound like?
Fall with you, a brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when?
Yeah, remember when?
We used to sing sha-la-la-la,
la. Like how he closes to the L. La 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 la. It's almost like a shadow pronunciation there. La 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 la. Like la la. Like two things in there instead of just la la la. Yeah, it'd be weird if it was sha la 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 la. Sha la 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 la. Right? That makes more sense. Okay, but that is one spot. That main chorus there. Oh, I almost have it. Okay, the song, I don't remember the band. I know someone out there will get this. Okay, sha na 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 na, yeah. Uh-huh. Mr. Jones? Jones and me. Okay, is that Hootie? And the Blowfish? See, I don't know. Okay. That was around the time that I sort of stopped paying attention to pop music, and a lot of what I paid attention to then was more along the lines of grunge. So, all right, let me know if you know who that is and the song. Well, the Mr. Jones song. Okay, back to other influences here. So later on, I caught some things that maybe would have been influences for Van Morrison. Love that bass line. Okay, so I just need to call that out. The little instrumental interlude, it was really quick, a little transition. I know they have to work it into this little 3-minute pop song here, right? But it was the bass line. And it deserved that moment with just the tambourine. Dun, 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 awesome. So to me, especially with a little bit of reverb, you hear it, everything just echoes just a little tiny bit. I can't help but think of the Beach Boys. And I'm just getting into the Beatles. We're doing the whole discography over on Patreon and for channel members on YouTube. And so I can't help but feel like there's some influence there as well. Maybe they were all influencing one another. But then I also feel like there is an influence from music of the 50s, like doo-wop. And I think even at the end of the song, I heard a women's vocal chorus in the background. I don't think it was again, it's all these little details that are just hanging around, sparkling in the background that really makes this song stand out and be more unique. But I think I heard that chorus there at the end. But there just seems to be so much influence. Let's hear it at the end. Yeah, I hear the ladies singing. Okay, all right. So I think he has a very unique style of improv. It's not like, because I've heard some jazz music, like actual jazz, like in person. It's not quite the same. It's not scat. It's not. It's very unique, and I'm still just getting to know it to see what I truly think. This artist is kind of tricky to get to know, honestly. Okay, that was Van Morrison with Brown Eyed Girl. It was a sweet song. It sort of brings happiness and sunlight, but we're still digging into memories that do sometimes come with a darker side, but this was a nice little moment to think of good memories and perhaps a little bit of romance. Not quite the same romance as with Moondance. And yes, a very different style, just in those 3 years difference. But again, I don't know what both of these albums sound like and where they lean towards. But that's why I'm here right now, is to sort of learn all of that. So I am still getting to know this artist. I still don't quite know where he falls, like within the realm of jazz, improv, or more upbeat pop rock. I don't know. Maybe he just likes to dabble in everything, and that's kind of cool. I admire that in an artist. But I definitely hear influences on both sides, things that influenced him and people that he probably influenced later on. And so that's just all part of the fun. So thank you to everyone who voted for this one. Great second place winner here. And again, I am still very much considering doing the entire Moondance album in the near future. So regardless, I'll be able to get to know more about this person. But until then, will this go on my playlist? Yes, it will. This song will be a joy to listen to. It's great. It's sunny outside today. I'm about to run some errands. I think I'm going to pop this song in the car as I drive around town. All right, so can't wait to hear more from this artist. But for now, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just be okay and keep listening.